Need high-quality video to promote your event, business, or band? We can help.
We're PixelPond, a video production team based in the Pacific Northwest providing high-quality content to clients across the US and Canada.
Whether you want coverage of your live event to promote for next year, or need a camera and a camera operator for your next big project, we can accommodate projects of all sizes.
Your story is important. Visit pixelpondllc.com or send an email to info@pixelpondllc.com to get started today. We can't wait to work with you.
Coming up on Gamers Week podcast.
Will there be an opportunity, because in every indie movie he bangs the hot chick, is there going to be any of that in the game?
You never see him banging the hot chick in the movie.
No. So
like,
now
I
get
and fall to the floor and the scene pans away to something else.
Right, but they were talking about the fact that you can sit in the boots of Indiana Jones, right?
He takes the boots off for that.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
He's a gentleman.
Why can't you be in the room when he takes the boots off?
I will object. In Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, there is no banging.
I don't know what movie you're talking about. I've never heard of that before.
It doesn't exist. TK85 says, I was banging my head against the seat in the theater, if that counts. Actually, I seem to recall seeing that the Bills and the Chiefs play this weekend.
We're not going to do this, are we?
Well, come on. I think you guys are 1-1 as far as teapot bets.
Oh, fucking hell. Maybe, how about this? The bet is the patrons pick the punishment, and we have the right to veto, because I know Emo-esque and Zach Huge Thanks are going to try to do something weird.
I don't know if I'm okay with this one, with the patrons picking the punishment.
Or maybe we do a poll.
Yeah,
right?
There you go. Put a couple suggestions in there, poll form, and let the patrons pick.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
Okay. It is decided.
It is decided.
Decided. Okay. I think we're set then.
We're ready to go?
All important points of business have been taken care of.
Okay.
When is Blue going to get involved in one of these bets? I just want.
I'd love for to. That doesn't make any sense why she's the odd person out.
For better or worse, the Packers can never get past the 49ers, so we're not likely to play either of you.
We'll get her involved when playoffs happen.
That's my point.
Okay.
We can't get past the 49ers.
No.
So.
And those were the winning Powerball numbers. So if you have those, then just write those down and we'll all be rich. So, oh, hey, look, we're live.
Hello. Thanks for your patience, everyone.
If you guys could have been flies on the wall and you were able to hear that conversation, I think we'd all be pretty rich right now.
From
the Powerball numbers.
Yeah, the Powerball numbers. What's with you tonight? Not paying attention? What's going on?
Are you done?
Sure, I can be done.
Doogie says, Donnie likes talking about his balls.
See?
I've got big balls.
When you said power balls, I assume that's what you meant. That's what you usually mean. So.
My power balls. There will come a day when they will have no more power.
But today is not that day?
Today is not that day.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to Gamers Week podcast. Like the name says, we analyze the best, worst, and weirdest headlines of the past week in the video game industry. This is episode 141, and today is Wednesday, November 13th, 2024. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. My name is Blue Williams, and I'll be your host for this evening. But, of course, as you can see, I am not alone. I do have two fine co-hosts with me. My first co-host is the president and chairman of the Highlights Magazine fan club. And yes, he does list it in his LinkedIn profile. Please, everyone, say hello to Ryan Payne, a.k.a. Retro Game Brews.
That's how I got my current job. They were like, wait. You're into highlights? I was like, yeah, man. Hidden pictures? Hell yeah. And we got into Boy's Life, and that was the whole thing.
I haven't thought about that magazine in decades.
And my second co-host just finished his playthrough of Silent Hill 2. He enjoyed it so much that he recently bought a fog machine for the bedroom, which his wife is not 100% on board with yet. Please say hello to the one and only Donnie G.
And I just strip down into a pair of tidy whities and hide behind the dresser so that whenever she comes in, I just jump out and immediately do the slapping thing with my arms, like the mannequin.
Yeah.
Those things creep me out.
We are currently collecting money for Donnie to build a cosplay pyramid head for his wife as well. So if you want to chip in a few bucks here or there, we would greatly appreciate that.
Now, that one I think I could pull off. I can spend the next 3 months trying to get my stomach down and my abs ripped, and I would totally do a pyramid head cosplay.
I hate you that it would only take you 3 months to get a six-pack.
All right. I just choose not to.
I say we make this happen.
I'm totally on board with doing a pyramid head cosplay. But what I really want to talk about is Ryan's. Did you go around with a briefcase with Voice Life and highlights in it, and you just sit down and you pop open the briefcase, take out an issue, and just sit there and read it? And where were you reading this at?
Like I said, I was in the interview, right? Pulled it right out, just put them on the table. It was issue 1 of both, so they knew I was serious, right? And we filled out the puzzles together. And we talked about which merit badges we were most excited for.
All right. Awesome.
That sounds beautiful.
I was most excited for animal husbandry.
Oh, whoa. You've been playing Baldur's Gate 3, haven't you?
Well, on that note, let's move on to our reviews, reactions, and requests. Professor Rock from PR says, I forgot to cancel my Pokemon TCG Pocket trial subscription. It's a good deal, but I'm not paying $12 a month just to open one extra digital pack a day. So after December 14th, I can tell you how fair it really is for free players.
There you go.
I did not know there was a subscription to that.
Neither did I, but of course there is.
Of course, right. And the value of this is $12 a month for, again, kind of a loot box, if you think about it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really what it is. Unless you're guaranteed a shiny Pokemon every time you get the extra one. I don't know.
GoldenEye says, it only takes me 10 minutes to get a 6-pack. I just got to drive to the liquor store.
We're going to the liquor store.
Yes, and You Fall Before Me says, surprise mechanics.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right.
Not loot boxes, surprise mechanics.
Surprise!
Next up, SMB Flurry says, I feel like Nintendo makes too much from physical sales to go digital only. And like AI, this is something they're doing differently than the rest of the industry. Personally, I'm hoping it takes Switch carts as is, and the new ones have tabs like the 3DS. But who knows? We'll find out eventually.
I'd agree with that in the sense that I would love to see it be able to use the physical cards. I just don't, honestly, I don't know if that's a 100% true statement, that Nintendo makes too much off of physical sales to go digital only. I get the feeling from every report that I see is that physical sales are 10% of the market. Maybe that's when you take into account PlayStation and Xbox, but I will say, I still would say it's a vast majority of what they get is digital. Just because, again, we're the only people still buying physical.
It would be interesting to see a breakdown. I'm sure Nintendo will get there eventually, but I feel like they would be the last stalwarts to hold on to something physical.
Right, for sure.
But again, we'll see when we get there. And last up, Puzzle Better says, why am I trying the new Pokemon Pocket TCG with the express intent of not spending a dime and seeing how far I can get? I blame you, Gamers Week.
Don't blame us.
We're sorry.
We had that disclaimer, remember? So you can hold us accountable.
From such and such law firm, intended for entertainment purposes only.
I love that Blue response was, I'm sorry, because it was a question, not a statement.
You're welcome, or I'm sorry. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Puzzle Better in the chat says, I definitely started playing the TCG this week and blame you, but it's so fun so far, and I'm not tempted to buy at all in caps, which I think may be sarcastic.
I agree. I started playing it last week just to check it out and try it. At first, you're opening packs and you're wondering what the point is, but then once you reach like level 3, then you get a couple decks. You can start battling and whatnot. And I haven't spent a dime. I don't like Pokemon that much, or really at all, to even spend any money on this. So it's kind of like a passive to pass the time. If I'm sitting there waiting for something and I'm done reading, I can just pop open up a pack, do a battle, and that's it. I don't have to spend any money, and I'm not going to.
Are you playing against real players, or are you playing against the computer?
No, right now I'm playing against the computer, but you can add friends on it, and I'm sure you can do battles with them.
Because that would be cool.
You play against the kid who likes shorts.
Who likes shorts?
That's a Pokemon joke. Well, all the way back from the Game Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. I did not get that reference, again, because I don't like Pokemon that much.
Smell you later.
All right, let's move on to our patron shoutouts.
We couldn't do what we do without the help of our gorgeous patrons. Here are the generous folks supporting Gamers Week on Patreon. Moradib, Michael DeKite, Emo-esque, Bill Tucker, The Real Retro Game Brews, Fruitcakes Pickled Pepper, Ducks with Thick Thighs, Absolutely the Best Podcast, Wizard of Zardoz, Bobson Duck Nut, Blues Little Sis, Loud Moth, Retro Blast Pat, BNT Zillaguy, The Mad Milkman, Seven Castle Forest, Crunchy Kong, Sheriff Snacks, Frank Grande, Love Retro BTW, Steven Sand, Ramboski, Terry Canair, Jill 2020, Don't Make Me Pull Over This Car, Games with Coffee, Hybrid Divide, You Fall Before Me, Davey PGH, The Pixel Pond Family, including Shannon and Luke, Zach Huge Thanks, #1 Blue Sick Boys fan, John Baran, Sony Likes a Good Stuffing, Evo Lust, Rye's Secret Best Friend, Mega Retro Man, and Gameatroid. If you like what you hear today, and we really hope you do, please consider joining us on Patreon. Your support helps cover the cost of producing the show, as well as other cool stuff we'll be doing like prizes and giveaways. You'll also gain access to our bi-weekly patron-only bonus cast called Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits. Visit patreon.com/gamersweek, or follow the link in the show notes to learn more.
Doogie Forever says, I only blame Gamers Week for my Vampire Survivors addiction. And Simon Ashter says, I blame Gamers Week for my habit of making Yoshi noises when upset.
Well played, sir. Well played.
All right, let's move on to the headlines.
All right, this headline segment is sponsored by the Retro Game Club podcast. It's a fantastic family-friendly retro gaming podcast. In each episode, Rob and Hugh pick 2 games to play and discuss, as well as news, interviews, and other topics. Right now, they want to know, how do you organize your video games? Alphabetically, by system type, by year, by series, etc. Send your answers to email@retrogameclub.net or follow the link in the show notes.
So I try to keep each system grouped together. If I can arrange them on the shelf in a way that the labels will be seen, then I'll alphabetize them. But like if it's Game Boy games, they just kind of go in a stack.
Yeah.
Same with the N64 games. They just go in a stack.
I am not organized enough in anything in my life to organize something alphabetically. It's all by system. The carts need to match up with the other carts. That's it. Yeah. That's all I care about. And you know what? I don't mind, like, hey, I want to play a game, and then like searching through other ones and be like, oh yeah, I still got that game, or I forgot that I had that. So it's an adventure every time I go to the shelf. I'm completely fine with that.
I have my shelves organized by particular system, and then depending on if they're loose carts, then they are alphabetized. My NES collection is alphabetized. My PS2 collection is alphabetized, and my Sega Genesis is not, because their boxes are varied. You got some with the tabs on top, some with the cardboard boxes, some that are sealed. So it's like I stack them on top of each other. Like there's one and there's one on top, but it's kind of difficult if they still have the tabs. So I just try to make it work as best as I could. But I try to alphabetize as much as I can. If it doesn't work out, then it's a chaotic mess.
Sam Disfaction says, organize? You Fall Before Me says, organization? I don't know that Pokemon. And Simon Ashter says, I have a very detailed donkey decimal system arranged by genre, which is a nerd joke. I appreciate it.
Ticket85 has a good question for you, Donnie. Are your NES games organized by number of screws?
No, they are not.
You should do that.
No. It's by title and that's it. We're not
Fine. You're no fun.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the week's headlines. Palworld developer Pocketpair has shared more details from the lawsuit it faces from both Nintendo and the Pokémon Company. The lawsuit, which was filed on September 19th, 8 months after Palworld launched, claims title infringement on multiple patent rights. There are 3 patents in question, which involve the system for using capture items, the aiming system for deploying such capture items, and the system for writable characters. Patent analyst Florian Mueller has released an extensive examination into the lawsuit, pointing out that Nintendo has not identified a single patent that actually existed at the time of Palworld's release, and has instead chosen to file updates to patent applications from 2021 to make their argument. It's also been noted that none of the patents filed by Nintendo contain significant technological inventions and are merely mechanics that Nintendo itself acknowledges have been featured in other games. Mueller describes Nintendo's actions as a clear case of bullying against Pocketpair, citing the former's status as a far older and larger company with extensive experience in patent prosecution and patent infringement litigation.
This feels like it's gone full circle. So do you remember when Nintendo got sued by Universal for Donkey Kong as a character?
Yes.
And the reason that Universal lost that lawsuit is because Universal got sued before that for using King Kong. And their argument was that it was part of the public domain. So they got off of that lawsuit and then turned around and sued Nintendo, and they went, bah, 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 bah.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, you can't have it both ways here. I feel like Nintendo's caught in that at this time, right? They're like, hey, man, it has a huge resemblance to King Kong, but you can't do that. And now they're suing Pocketpair for basically kind of the same thing.
Yeah, the same thing.
Yep.
That's bonkers to me that you could make your whole argument by updating patents from 3 years ago that didn't exist at the time and say, you can't do that because, see, we have it patented. It's dated 2021, but it's really not. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but I feel like any judge would be like, are you kidding me? Get out of here. Stop wasting everyone's time.
The whole point of this being something that's bullying by Nintendo, I think it sounds to me it's more like a move for them to say to everyone else who wants to take on this potential genre, right? Hey, we got our ducks in a row now. Yeah, Palworld will be okay, but you can't do this moving forward, so that they don't have anyone else to compete with. But they said that there isn't anything unique about these patents, though. They're far-flung ideas that have been used in other games prior to that. I mean, at the very core, Pokemon is an RPG, a turn-based RPG, right? Mm-hmm. So is it that unique in the overall scheme of video games? Is there anything that's terribly new to it? Yeah, sure, you're dog fighting, I guess, but it doesn't seem to me like it's something that you would be able to litigate on. It's just their idea isn't that unique.
No, it's not unique at all. And when you think about it, they're talking about the system for catching something, right? That's basically throwing the ball and boom, catching it.
Aiming the ball and throwing the ball, yeah. Ooh.
Correct. So what's the difference between that and aiming your proton pack and shooting it and corralling the thing into the trap and pressing the button and still trapping it? To me, there's really no discernible difference. The other thing is that I'm trying to understand this. So these patents weren't even in existence when Palworld launched. Then Nintendo hurriedly decided to submit an application for these patents, which I don't know if these patents have been approved. They updated them, but it doesn't say whether or not these patents have been approved. But regardless, this was around prior to the Palworld was around before they even submitted them. So like you said, any judge should see this and say, you know what, this is you're full of crap, Nintendo. Mm-hmm. Lawsuit dismissed.
Unless Nintendo says, but we're very rich. We would like you to take a second look at it.
Right, that's true.
Because I think that Florian Mueller is correct in saying it's just a clear case of bullying, but bullying's not against the law. And if Nintendo can make Palworld and every other company, like you said, Ryan, who would even think of doing something like this, they can make them step back and back down, then they're going to do it. And probably whatever it's costing them to do this lawsuit that money would be well spent in their eyes. But I think I can speak for gamers everywhere when we say, screw you, Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
We're Team Pocketpair on this one.
Absolutely. And I don't even like Palworld.
Right. Webhead says, good point, Donnie, on the Ghostbusters idea. Can we get a Ghostbusters Go game going now?
Why not? Why haven't they done anything like that where you can catch all the ghosts in the what's the book?
The Necronomicon?
No, not the Necronomicon. Tobin Spirit Guide. There you go.
Maybe they're afraid of Nintendo. Or they're just not using that IP to its fullest. Clayman71 says, I'm going to litigate Liar Game Brews for false promises of not playing any Souls-likes.
Promises.
I still got like a month and a half, bud. I still got a month and a half. All I need to do is put 60 hours, right? It's 4 Souls-likes games, 15 hours apiece. That can be done.
Yep, 60 hours in 6 weeks.
Yeah. I just put 18 hours into Silent Hill too, so go ahead.
No, so question. If I stream it on the Gamers Week podcast Twitch channel, can we like half the amount of time?
That was not the agreement.
Well, I'm saying you get to watch the anguish live.
If you would like to alter the deal, I suppose you can ask Clayman.
Pray we don't alter it any further.
Yep. All right, next up, Sony President, COO, and CFO Hiroki Totoki acknowledged that the company's plan to push PlayStation Network account linking on famously resistant PC players can invite pushback, but the company is sticking to its guns. For the live service games, in order to maintain order of the gaming so that anybody can enjoy the game safely, we need to create an environment conducive to that, said Totoki. Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, a single-player game, just came to PC. Like God of War Ragnarok before it, it requires a linked PlayStation account, and there's a big account-required blurb right at the top of both game Steam pages. Totoki's argument about keeping live service games safe doesn't hold up in single-player games like these, but Sony's insistence on this arrangement suggests that it wants to pump up its PlayStation Network numbers and onboard folks from other platforms however it can. An unsurprising decision for a major platform holder, and it's clearly willing to piss off a few PC gamers to do it.
Yeah, they need this. The thing that's holding Xbox afloat for Game Pass is the fact that it's accessible on more than just their hardware.
Right.
So they would be dumb to just say, we're going to stick to our hardware. However, the Sony ponies are notoriously whiny about when something gets ported to something off of their system. And I mean, they've seen people destroy their PlayStation systems because something got ported to a PC. I got to be honest with you, though, at the end of the day, that person's doing that for internet clout anyway. So maybe it's okay to lose them.
Yeah. I mean, those are your most ardent fans. They buy all your stuff. They fight for you online. Like they'll throw themselves upon the altar of Team PlayStation. I mean, that kind of unquestioned loyalty, it's nice to have when you're a giant corporation. You can do whatever you want, and these people will kiss your ass for it. But you do make a good point in that by going on PC and insisting that people make a PlayStation account in order to play their games, now they're pissing off both sides. The PC players who don't want to have an account that they're never going to use for anything again.
Yep.
And that will keep players in all but 47 countries, if I'm remembering that number right.
Yep.
Who have access to PlayStation now. They won't be able to play your games at all. So you're seeking success in PC gaming at the expense of pissing off your core fan base, jailing out players in all those other countries that don't have access to your system.
Right.
And you're also pissing off regular PC players who don't want to have to make an account they won't use. Who's happy about this?
Well, again, I think it's you'll get over it, right?
Probably.
You'll be mad for a little bit, and then you'll succumb because you really want to play. You may not have a PlayStation, PS4, PS5, whatever, and you want to play these games. It's available on Steam, but you're like, hey, you can play it. All we need you to do is just create this account. That's all we need you to do. And here you go. You can play God of War. You can play Spider-Man. And you're like, no, I don't want to do this. Well, maybe. Okay, you talked me into it. I really want to play it. Bam. And that's all it is. I just sign up, sign in. There you go.
How many boycotts of Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation have we seen over the years? And they don't seem to be struggling.
They don't care.
Yeah, the boycotts never work.
The only way it would work is if we all banded together as one homogenous gamer group across the world. But that's not going to happen because, to your point, Donnie, I want to play Spider-Man.
There's your principles, and then there's Spider-Man.
Right.
Yeah. And Mayonnaise Chase makes a good point. They are trying to pump their PSN numbers to sell to investors. That's really all it is right here. They're pumping up those numbers. They're saying, hey, look at us. Look at all the stuff that we got. All these people that subscribe to PlayStation, invest in us, give us more money, and that's what's going to happen.
Yep. Because I'm sure they're pulling up Xbox and saying, hey, look at how many subscribers they've got.
Exactly.
When we all know that PlayStation is kicking the fucking pants off of Xbox.
Yeah.
But data is one of those things, man. You can manipulate it to say whatever it is that you want. There's lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Yep. All right, with a month to go before Indiana Jones and the Great Circle releases, MachineGames has unveiled a deep dive look at what's in store for the game. The video covers pretty much everything Indy has to offer in his new outing, from basic gameplay mechanics like stealth, fisticuffs, occasional gunfire, and of course, the do-it-all flexibility of the whip, to puzzles, exploration, exotic locales, and the supporting cast who will aid our intrepid archaeologist on his adventures. Throw a bottle to distract a guard, scooch around the edge of a cliff, insert X into Y to open a door. While the gameplay mechanics all appear to be the tried and true stuff of action-adventure games, we'll have to wait and see how those elements come together in the broader experience. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is arguably Xbox's biggest release of the year, following other notable first-party games like Hellblade 2, Starfield's Shattered Space expansion, and the upcoming Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. While it's coming to Xbox and PC this year and will be on Game Pass day one, the Great Circle will also be launching on the PS5 in the spring of 2025.
Donnie, could you do me a favor? Could you make that whipping motion a few more times, just real quick?
Okay, so for all our listeners who are catching the audio version later, you are missing the visual of Donnie doing the whip motion and Ryan turning around, exposing his ass to the camera. And
now whip it.
You can fill it in from there.
All right. If the whip action is nothing like Earthworm Jim, then I'm out. I need it to be exactly like Earthworm Jim.
Exactly like Earthworm Jim. You're
I'm
right.
pretty sure that's what the developers had in mind. Like when they do the board with all the ideas, when they're just starting out, they had Earthworm Jim up on the board. Pretty sure.
Love it. And how about the author of this article using the word scooch? Scooch. You never hear that anymore. Kudos to you, guys.
I got a chance to watch this, and I think that this looks fantastic for a few reasons. So I think in the past, when it comes to indie, it's never any indie game that's ever come out has never really captured all the things that make Indiana Jones great as a movie.
Correct.
So if you think about it, Indiana Jones he's extremely intelligent, right? He's obviously a decent fighter. There's a certain funny element to it. There's some humor behind it. So there's all that. But to kind of bring that all together, right, in one game is tough to do. And a lot of games, I think, focus mostly on the action piece, where this game does a really good job of making Indy the MacGyver character that he is in the movies, right? He always figures something out. He's always able to solve a particular problem by thinking outside the box. And It brings in the puzzle elements, which, I'm not a huge fan of traditional puzzle elements, but this sounds like it helps with the story and that you can find some of the clues. When puzzles are done well, they don't feel like puzzles. And that's what I'm getting out of this.
They're an element that's very much an Indiana Jones thing.
Right. They have to be, right? Because that's what he does in those movies is he essentially solves these unique puzzles that he really uses his high amount of intelligence and past knowledge. But you're gathering information, you're putting it in your own book, just like his father had. And the fighting element to it, I think, is really, really cool and unique as well, where you have to, it's like parrying and dodging and punching and stuff. So there are so many different elements of this gameplay. The only thing that I'm concerned about is having to learn all of it. I hope there's like tutorials that kind of eases you in the learning curve. I hope it's not like a Souls game. We're just like, there you go.
I'm sure there will be.
Yeah. Tekken85 says Ryan has clearly never played Raiders on Atari.
Now, when you compare games like Raiders of the Lost Ark for the Atari or the Temple of Doom for the NES and the arcade version, those don't feel like Indiana Jones games. This game, whenever I look at the trailer and the gameplay, it immediately sets me in the Indiana Jones universe. Yep. Now, I can't say anything else for the other games that are out there, like Indiana Jones and his desktop adventures, Emperor's Tomb, The Fate of Atlantis. I've never played those games, so I can't really say if they've captured the Indiana Jones universe or Indiana Jones look and feel. But this one, hands down, like, I'm excited to play it. I know it's first person, which is not Blue's favorite, but it's not a shooter. It's you have that first person viewpoint. You have the whip. You have the fighting, the fisticuffs. You do have to use a revolver. So I'm sorry, Blue. If you want to play this, you might have to sacrifice that. But with everything else, the environments, the puzzles, the gameplay, to me, this game is a day one purchase. Definitely. And possibly a game of the year.
Hey, now, I will play first-person games for the right series, like Resident Evil.
Okay.
Do I love Indiana Jones enough to make that sacrifice? I don't know. To me, Indiana Jones has always been fine. It's fine. I will agree with the author of the article in that the game mechanics, like in the gameplay preview, the narrator from the studio is trying to, it's all groundbreaking, it's new, and it's dynamic, and it's so creative. It's normal action adventure game stuff.
It is.
Exactly.
I think, though, having watched the whole thing, I'll agree that it looks fantastic. I will also say how shocked I am at Troy Baker's voicing of Indy.
Yep.
It's perfect. What they showed there was perfect. If you told me that they somehow went back in time and got Harrison Ford and brought him and had him do the voice, I would believe you because it's that good. But I think MachineGames decided not to reinvent the wheel and instead turn their effort towards making sure that this looked and felt and was immersive in Indiana Jones world. Instantly, you know that it's Indiana Jones. And so I think that's where they put their effort as opposed to trying to make it, look at all this new stuff you can do. And I'm okay with that.
You get to punch Nazis, so it's going to get Game of the Year.
Of course. Any game that you can do that, especially in today's world. If you can punch Nazis, it still applies. Game of the Year.
There you go. Maybe I've been throwing my money behind Astrobot a little too soon.
All of a sudden, they got a patch for it.
And I didn't realize that Troy Baker was the voice of Booker DeWitt in BioShock Infinite.
Yep. And to that point, when it first came out, I was like, oh, Harrison Ford. I was thinking like, oh, an AI maybe or something like that. There were points in which you recognized, like when he was interacting with his main love interest, I'm assuming because it's Indiana Jones, where I was like, okay, that's not Harrison Ford. But when he's talking to himself, like going, okay, Indy, you can do this. Mm-hmm. It sounds dead on.
And the facial animations and everything like that looks spot on to Indiana Jones, to Harrison Ford.
Though, of course, I think them doing it first person works to their advantage because they don't have to show Indy's face as much as they would otherwise.
Right. They get to control what that looks like.
Yep. They can save it for rendered cutscenes, which was probably smart.
Will there be an opportunity? Because in every indie movie, he bangs the hot chick. Is there going to be any of that in the game?
You never see him banging the hot chick in the movie.
No.
So
like,
now
they'll
I
kiss
get
and fall to the floor, and the scene pans away to something else.
right. But they were talking about the fact that you can sit in the boots of Indiana Jones, right?
He takes the boots off for that.
Well, that's what I was going to
He's
say.
a gentleman.
Why can't you be in the room when he takes the boots off?
I will object. In Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, there is no banging.
I don't know what movie you're talking about. I've never heard of that before.
It doesn't exist. TK85 says, I was banging my head against the seat in the theater, if that counts. All right, next up in Nintendo lawsuit news, Nintendo has filed a lawsuit against an individual who apparently repeatedly streamed pirated and emulated Switch games while also promoting Switch emulators and other piracy tools to his audience. Jesse Kean, also known online as Every Game Guru, streamed Switch games, including new titles, before they were released, monetized his video content, and even boasted about his actions in a letter to the Japanese firm. On October 24th, 2024, after certain platforms had taken down his unlawful streams as a result of Nintendo's enforcement actions, he sent Nintendo a letter boasting that he has 1,000 burner channels to stream from, and he can do this all day. According to the lawsuit, he also previously told Nintendo he would actively help people find newer and updated copies of popular Nintendo emulators, and has been accused of offering to help people play Switch games on their PC without having to buy official Switch hardware. Nintendo is now seeking $150,000 per infringement of its copyright, and factoring in at least 50 occasions in the last 2 years, this adds up to a sum of $7.5 million.
The balls on this guy.
Talk about power balls.
Big cojones.
I think this is, unfortunately for Jesse, though, going to be a moment in FAFO history.
Yep. He's going to feel the wrath of Nintendo, of the biggest corporation in the world, coming down on him. And he's like, oh, this was just a joke. I'm sorry. Kid, you're about to learn a very, very harsh lesson.
Well, and the thing is, too, at the end of the day, if he gets, if he has to end up paying this money, I think there would be a fair case for the state to come across and say that this is grand larceny, right? Because technically he is stealing these properties, being able to play them for free, especially stuff that's been unreleased. He's encouraging others to do so. He's monetizing his channel. There are a lot of repercussions that could come as a result of this. And I think Jesse's more than likely a guy who obviously has a lot of confidence, but maybe not a lot of legal knowledge.
Whatever, I do what I want.
Right.
I mean, the fact that his real name is known means he's not that good at covering his tracks.
No.
Right. He's not a member of Anonymous here.
Right. I don't know how he thinks he's going to get away with this, but good luck to you.
So how much money did he actually make from his video content and his streaming?
I'm sure it's not 7.5 million.
No, it's probably like couple of $1,000. And if you really think that that's worth getting sued for up to 7.5 million, oof, sorry, kid.
I would also say good luck getting a lawyer, but
no, he's going to represent himself.
Probably, because he's that smart. But like, if you thought poor Gary Bowser had it bad.
Right. Oh my God. He's the new Gary Bowser.
I think the big difference, though, is Gary wasn't taunting as much as this guy is.
Right.
I mean, he taunted. He basically said, bring it on. It was like the guy who was the CEO of LifeLock that put his social security number on the side of the truck and said, yeah, it can't be hacked. And then it got hacked like 13 times.
Yeah.
He is like one of these cocky fighters or MMA fighters or boxers that at the weigh-in and everything, he's getting in their face. He's like putting his hands in their face, pushing them, doing the kiss face or whatever. And then it's time to get in the ring. And then he ends up with wobbly dough baby knees and he goes down for the count. And he's looking up like, what happened?
And there's like an entire genre of videos on YouTube where it's basically like people who ran their mouth and then had to pay for it. And they're extremely popular.
Everybody loves a good FAFO.
Right. Well, and I mean, if you think about it at the end of the day, I guess It's small fry stuff. Jesse might have thought at the beginning that he was doing this for good. Then it got around to him having a bigger ego about it. And this whole like, oh, I've got a bunch of burner accounts. Like, good luck finding me.
They already found you, bud. You've got the cease and desist. They know your name. They know where you live. Time to hang it up.
I could just change my name.
I mean, there's a line that you got to step over in order to get to that point. And I mean, we've had the conversation about emulation, what's good and what's not, right? And I think we've all agreed that if it's currently available and you're taking something that isn't yours and using it, that's theft, and that's not right. And there are a million other ways we look at emulation, but this one in particular, this is all of the problems that we have with emulation all rolled into one story.
TK85 says, you can't put a price on internet clout for a day. Nintendo lawsuit, $7.5 million. Internet clout, priceless. And You Fall Before Me says, F around, find out. It's in the Bible, I think. All right, and last up, Final Fantasy XIV's new 7.1 patch released on Tuesday, bringing, among other things, improved character toe detail to the game. The title's first major patch adds some new raids and new main story quests, along with a fair amount of quality of life changes. But tucked pretty far down in the list of changes, the patch notes state, character toe detail when wearing the following footgear has been improved, along with a list of 118 footwear items across A Realm Reborn, Shadowbringers, Endwalker, and Dawntrail, getting the HD toe treatment. The before toes have been pretty blocky for as long as anyone can remember, complete with some low poly toenails. It's not exactly the worst looking foot in the world, but it does give PS2 character with mittens for hands vibes. The upcoming improvements look far more foot-like, softening up some of the uglier shadows and making the toes look a lot more round and less like a 2D texture. While a small detail, it's a welcome change in Square Enix's ongoing attempt to zhuzh up the game.
I just would love to be in the meeting where they've decided that they're going to upgrade.
This was going to be a focus.
Right. And then
a point of emphasis.
All right. And Mike, this is going to be your job to update it. And you're like, what? Why me? Second piece to this, right? Final Fantasy XIV happens in a fantasy world, right? So I'm going to guess that if we're going to be realistic about what it's like if you're wearing sandals all the time, running around in that environment, these toes aren't going to look like fresh pedicured toes.
No.
They're going to be like disgusting and gross. Exactly.
You're
so
right.
Are we going for more realistic? Are we going for something that's a little bit more stylized? That's the questions that kept me out of the really good colleges.
I imagine they went through several versions of this. What do you think about these toes? Or what do you think about these toes? It was somebody's job there to look at toes like all day.
When you love what you do, it's not a job.
You don't work a day in your life.
So they bought in a podiatrist. It's like a consultant for it, right?
Right. He's going to be in the credits now.
Dr. Scholes.
New job classes, new raids, new area. Who put HD feet up on the board?
That's a good point. Somebody had to come up with this idea. And you know what their preference was. You know what their search history looks like. And you know what? Again, we don't kink shame. We don't kink shame.
No.
But at the end of the day, somebody made a conscious choice to do this.
We are in that realm of super ultra realism when it comes to our video games. Hell, even playing the new Silent Hill 2 remake, James Sunderland looks like his facial expressions, his mannerisms and everything. This is as close to human reaction as we have gotten with characters in video games, at least in my opinion. It looks amazing. I feel empathy and sympathy towards him by his actions and how he looks. So it's only fair if we're doing that with the face that we should be doing that with the toes. We're doing people a disservice if we're not doing the full body makeup.
See, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah, James's face is great, but how are his toes? This is what the people really want to know. Sam Disfaction says, I can see the job description now. Needs toe expert.
How many calls you got called from me? I'll be your toe expert.
And Simon Asher says, look, the players keep asking for it. Well, this one player keeps asking for it.
Player.
Yep.
Are we going to get more details on other things then? Just out of curiosity.
I mean, look at Cyberpunk 2077. The detail that was with that.
Yeah, but you only got 2 choices in that one. Big or little.
There needs to be a range.
And I'm not sure who chose the little one.
Well, people who probably identify with that. So.
Big things come in small packages.
Of course they do.
In your case, big things come around small packages.
Nice.
All right, let's move on to our top 3 new releases.
Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. PS5, Xbox Series XS, Switch, and PC. Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake is a stunning reimagining of the beloved masterpiece. Battle a vast array of monsters in classic Dragon Quest turn-based battles. Set party tactics and switch up weapons, abilities, and spells to take on all of the challenging foes that await you. LEGO Horizon Adventures. PS5, Switch, PC. Journey to a distant future where the land is made of Lego bricks and lush nature has reclaimed the Earth. Join machine hunter Aloy as she leads a colorful crew of heroes on a quest to save the world and learn the secrets of her past. Dive into boundless adventure, customized to your heart's content, and take on action-packed battles solo or with friends. Tetris Forever. PS5, Xbox Series XS, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Unrivaled after 4 decades, Tetris Forever celebrates the original, genre-inspiring puzzle game that escaped from behind the Iron Curtain onto the world stage and into our cultural consciousness. More than 15 playable classic games from the series' history are featured, including many being released for the first time outside of Japan. As the next release in Digital Eclipse's acclaimed Gold Master series, Tetris Forever also includes more than an hour of all-new documentary featurettes. And based on these wonderful descriptions this week, Ryan, which one are you going with?
I've never got into Lego games, and I've never played Horizon as far as the series is concerned. So those are 2 things I'll say that are strikes against it. I'm sure it's a great game. I'm sure other people are really interested and excited for it. I just don't have enough experience with either to say that I would pick that up. Tetris Forever, man, Tetris just keeps coming back, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like that one stubborn rash?
Right. Yeah. She went there.
Sorry, did you not want me to mention it?
Oh, can we just move past this? So it's on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. And I'm surprised they didn't mention the Leapfrog because it seems like it's on
Pico?
Stadia.
Right. Every single console that's out there. Tetris, of course, is always going to be a fun game. So this one it's probably not a day one purchase though for me. It's Tetris, right? So I know what to expect.
Right.
It'll be fun. I'll see what people think of it. And my guess is it's probably not going to be a $69, $99 game either. So budget friendly. Yeah. Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake. Dragon Quest III is probably my second favorite Dragon Quest game of all time. So really looking forward to this. Love the idea that it's still in 2D, but they're remaking it to look nicer. And for lately, I've been a sucker for remakes. I don't know what it is. Usually I would say I don't want them. I definitely don't want remasters, but remakes seem to just be hitting the nostalgia. I mean, I bought a PlayStation 5 and like 40% of the games I bought were remakes. So,
well, you and everybody else.
Right.
That's mostly what there is.
Right. So I'm excited for this one. I think that this is a day one purchase. And yeah, I'm going out finding myself a copy for my PlayStation 5. I'm going to be playing Dragon Quest on. So yeah. That seems novel in itself. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think Dragon Quest III is my choice for the week.
Very nice. Mm-hmm. Blue, what about you? What's your choice?
Well, I'll agree with Ryan. I've never been a big Lego game person. I've tried a bunch of them and usually fall off of them after 20 minutes or so. I've never found one that really could hold my attention. Maybe everybody's going to say that this is the best Lego game that's ever existed, in which case maybe I'll take a closer look at it, but probably not going to do that one for now. Tetris Forever, it looks really cool. It looks super, super cool. However, I think once you've played a Tetris, you've played all the Tetrises. So I would get it and mainly be interested in the documentary featurettes. Yeah. But do I need yet another version of Tetris to play? Probably not. Which brings us to Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake. It's going to be beautiful. The music is wonderful. Looking forward to that one a lot.
Awesome.
What about you, Donnie?
So I actually do like Lego games. The Lego Indiana Jones, they had Lego Harry Potter, the Lego Marvel series. Me and my kids played that whenever they were younger. We used to love sitting down and playing those games and solving the puzzles and collecting all the bricks and stuff like that. But it's been a while. It's been a hot minute since I've really been involved in a Lego game. And Horizon, I've never played any of the Horizon Zero Dawn. So that whole IP is not going to make me run out and pick up another new Lego game. So that one's out for me. I'm not as big of an RPG player anymore. I used to be. So Dragon Quest III, don't make that face at me, Ryan. Okay, don't make that face at me. I like the Dragon Warrior series. It's for me, sitting down with an RPG, it doesn't really happen anymore. I like more action adventure games. So Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake is probably out for me, which leaves us with Tetris Forever. I am a huge Tetris fan. I play Tetris pretty much daily, the original Tetris for the NES. This one is pretty much just a nostalgia trip. Yes, you get the documentary and stuff like that, but what are you going to see there that you can't go online and kind of look up or watch video of? So right. It might be fun to have a compilation of those Tetris games all in one package, but it's not something I'm going to be rushing out, opening up my wallet and saying, here, take my money. You know, maybe if there's a sale, I could pick it up for $1.99 or $2.99, then yeah, I'll pick it up. But as far as this week is concerned, I'm saying probably nothing that I'm going to run out and pick up.
So before we move on, let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsor. This segment is proudly sponsored by A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast. The show explores the history of video games through the stories and experiences of the people who lived it. So this week's question is, what's your favorite third-party controller? Let Bill know your answer by sending him a tweet at A Gamer Looks at 40 on Twitter.
Third-party controller.
I would say anything that has been made by Hori.
Hori makes some good stuff.
They make fantastic stuff as far as controllers are concerned. I mean, they've basically fixed the N64 for me. Because it's only 2 handles, right? It's not 3. So Hori it's got some really fantastic and high quality stuff. Other brands like 8-Bit Do or 8-Bit Do, they've done some really great stuff for...
One of these days we got to figure out how that's actually said.
I know, right? For the NES and SNES, they've done some really great stuff for that. But if we're talking like the original back in the day stuff where it isn't modern third-party controllers that are taking over, I don't think it gets much better than the NES Advantage, right? Turbo button, big joystick, right? Big buttons to mash with. It kind of had it all, and they used it in Ghostbusters, so... NES Advantage,
correct.
Yeah, wins hands down.
But that's not third party. That's a first party.
Oh, that's a good
Nintendo
call. That's a good.
It's right in the name. NES Advantage. Doogie Forever says Mad Cats. I won't touch anything else.
Nope. Mad Cats sucks mad balls.
And Simon Asher says Logitech, which we made that joke before we started recording.
Yeah, we're not going to bring it up. We're not going to bring it up.
Just don't try to pilot.
Just don't pilot a submarine with it.
Yeah, there you go.
Great for
and we
else.
made the joke. Great.
I didn't make the joke. I said what it's not supposed to do.
It's hard for me to really think about a third-party controller that made such an impact. I mean, you have the stuff like the Aura Interactor or the Activator, the one with basically the ring that you step into and is supposed to be motion fighting and stuff like that. None of those really panned out. So that's for me, it's difficult to try and kind of isolate one third-party controller that made a difference.
You're not going with the Power Glove?
I love the Power Glove.
Was that first party or was that third party?
No, it's third party. It's Mattel.
Then I'm going with the Power Glove.
That was easy.
Yeah.
I think if you go with the Power Glove, you're a massive liar. The Power Glove sucks, let's be honest.
Aesthetically speaking.
Yeah, you can love something for many reasons.
Right.
Exactly.
It's your favorite. Nobody said it's the best. What's your favorite?
It's beautiful. It doesn't function well.
I don't have one. I hate third-party controllers. I have never found one that I liked. I even recently, when it was like all our Switch Pro controllers died at the same time. And so I know, do we want to go buy 4 all at once, which was going to be like $280, or did we want to try some knockoff controller that they had at Best Buy that was like half the price? I was like, well, let's get 2 of the knockoff controllers and see. And they were immediately terrible. Turned around the same day, brought them back, got the Pro controllers.
So are you going to tell me that this is going to die eventually?
Probably. Ours did after like 4 years.
Well, when you play Mario Kart like they do.
What's that supposed to mean?
Just saying, you're a little rough on the Pro controller.
A little rough on the joystick. Sometimes people like that.
It's because it has the vibration feature.
And now, it's time for the very important poll.
Every month on Twitter, we post our VIP or very important poll. If you'd like to participate, follow us on Twitter at GamersWeekPC, or Blue Sky will be posted there too. Yeah.
We can't really do polls on Blue Sky, at least not yet.
True.
To be determined.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an open-ended question. You fill in the blank. So the question for this week was, since there aren't many games that focus on Thanksgiving, what game would you make if you had to make a Thanksgiving-themed video game? So let's look at some of the comments from the poll. Thunderdome Gam1 says Turkey Hunt. Be similar to Duck Hunt, but you'll be shooting turkeys. You'll eventually unlock different weapons to help you take down the bigger ones. As long as that dog isn't in there. Next up is Xerafina, says a cooking game where the turkeys fight back. Turkeys making humans into food. Rah! I had to read it like that. It was all in caps.
Yep. I appreciate the delivery.
Evil S says definitely a survivor horror first-person shooter called The Ungrateful Dead. Thanks is for the living. I love the fact that we brought an actual title into this. Galileo Potato said, great name, a Jason Voorhees or Freddy survival horror game, but it takes place during Thanksgiving and you how to navigate the terrors of burnt biscuits and gravy with giblets.
Giblets.
Yeah.
Just that term, giblets, man. I've never liked that.
And last but not least, Games with Coffee says a Thanksgiving game where you navigate tense discussions at the dinner table in the style of Phoenix Wright. Objection, Grandpa!
That sounds more like a nightmare to me.
So, taking a look at these, Donaldo, what would your game look like?
So I've given this some serious thought over the past couple of days. And initially what I had thought of was like a post-apocalyptic thing where you're a turkey and you're like the last turkey alive. But I think instead of post-apocalyptic, it should be in the time of when Thanksgiving was created between the Native Americans and the Pilgrims. You are the last turkey alive, and it's got something to do with like it's a stealth thing. You're trying to stay hidden and whatnot, and you get to see history happen in front of you. But maybe it's not the history that we were told in the history books. It's something different, more along the lines of like a BioShock-esque type thing, and you get to see all the stuff that happens with the killings and stuff like that, and the political dialogue back and forth between both parties. So that's along the lines of my choice.
That's some very serious observations to be made from the viewpoint of a turkey.
He's not going to understand shit, but like you see these two people talking, and he's like, you have to change it in the menu to English or something, because otherwise you're going to get turkey speak.
I like this. Or you got to find some like talisman, right? That allows you to. I
would rather play the game in the native turkey and have it subtitled.
She likes subs rather than dubs.
Exactly.
I love it.
So, Blue, what would your game look like?
I thought of two. The first one's kind of obvious. It would be like a cook, serve, delicious type game where you have to prepare all the dishes, but there's all these things like going on, like, you know, grandma screaming and uncle is drunk again and the kids are running through the kitchen and, you know, but you've got to focus or you're going to burn the green beans and then your score will go down and you'll be booed out of the kitchen. The second idea was a stealth game where you have to complete objectives around the house at dinner time while avoiding the relatives that you hate.
I like this.
So one stopping you to tell you about crypto, the other one stopping you to tell you about political stuff, and
right, and then you're getting hits to your time because there's a timer, and yeah, you can't afford that.
Okay. Grandpa's over there peeing in the fake bush in the living room, and you got to stop him. You got to tend to him. He's got them all the way down to his ankles. He's that kind of peer.
What about you, Ryan?
So I've given this a lot of thought, and
Okay.
I decided that the one genre I think would fit well with this one will be immediately obvious once I tell you the name of this game. It's going to be Thanksgiving Family Dinner Tournament Fighter. And,
You're going to settle those political debates once and for all.
right. So it's similar to like the old fighting street games where you can only play as Ken or Ryu. You're only one character. You can either play as the male or female character. That's your choice, right? But the other fighters that you go up against, there's like the drunk uncle who's throwing cheap domestic bottles of beer at you. There's the sister who's more successful than you, who's throwing credit cards, money, and clout at you.
There's the aunt who won't stop asking when you're going to get married.
Exactly, right? You know, so every character, of course, and then like the final end boss is racist grandpa. Because you know you want to be polite, right? So that you actually, what ends up happening as soon as you get into the battle, half your hit points go down, right?
Ooh.
Because you're trying to be polite, right? You're trying to navigate that.
Also, grandpa is rich and you don't want to be cut out of the will.
There we go.
Right.
Right.
So you got to compromise your morals.
So yeah, every
There
time
go.
you punch him, like money falls out. Right? But yeah, I think Thanksgiving Family Dinner Tournament Fighter. I could get down with that. Learn some special moves. Block it with like, you know, the serving plate. You know, go grandpa. Satisfaction says
He'd be my main.
Frank says a Contra-like game where you're a gun-carrying turkey shooting up Christmas characters trying to invade your holiday season. I like this.
Wow.
I like this.
That's a good idea.
It's harvest time.
No Christmas decorations until after Thanksgiving is over.
Don't look at our Twitter profile then.
No, please, no.
She put up not Christmas stuff. She put up
No, there's Santa.
in the background. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh,
For stuffing, yells Clayman.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening to episode 141 of Gamers Week podcast, and a big thank you to the Retro Game Club podcast, Love Retro BTW, A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast, and Pixel Pawn Production Company for sponsoring this episode. Don't forget to check out their links in the show notes. If you want to connect with Gamers Week, follow us on Twitter or Blue Sky at Gamers Week PC. Watch us right here on Twitch at twitch.tv/GamersWeekPodcast, where we will record live every Wednesday at 8:30 Central Time. Email us at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com. Visit our merch store at gamers-week-podcast.creator-spring.com, or if you want to do it the easy way, follow the link in the show notes. And last but not least, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/gamersweek. Finally, since you made it all the way to the end of this episode, please leave us a rating and a review to let us know how we did. We really do value your feedback. And while you're there, consider subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice.
what about an actual game where it's a VR sim. You go out, you pick up the turkey, you take it to the chopping block, you cut its head off, you clean it, you cook it, prepare it, you eat it, and then you go to the bathroom. So from start to finish, you're involved with that turkey.
No, you got to take a nap first before you go to the bathroom.
And watch some football.
Unless you undercook the turkey, then you might be just straight there.
Oh, yeah.
Every choice has a consequence.
It does. It's a choose your own adventure type thing.
Maybe you try to fry the turkey and end up in the ER.
Yes. I start a fire.
Love
and just
it.
burn down the house.
All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a good night.
You too, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Ryan loudly slurping from his Dairy Queen soda cup without muting his microphone.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut, patrons with benefits. This is the unscripted, patron-only bonus cast with less editing and more dirty jokes. We don't know where the conversation will go, but we're sure it will be weird.
This fish just went right on my nipple, and I'm just like,
I Google Street Fighter 6. The first search result that comes up is people think they can see Ryu's in the Street Fighter 6 reveal.
Listen up here, kids. You're not going to want to get one of those VDSTDs things, right? Make it fall off. When you go, grab a pro. You'll be doing it for America.
that was perfect.
If you want to hear weekly episodes of our patron-only bonus cast, join us at patreon.com/gamersweek.